I've really never been an RPG fan. I'm just going to be honest. Before 2025, I've never really even touched them for the most part. Maybe here and there I played a little bit of Persona, but I've never really been someone who actively seeks out new RPGs to play. And even games that are extremely popular like Metaphor, or in today's video, Final Fantasy, I never played before because I just really never thought I'd get into it. So let me tell you my surprise when I played Final Fantasy VII this year and absolutely loved it and blew my expectations way out of the water. Thank you, PlayStation Plus. Wow, this game is. I'm late to the party by 5 years, but I just gotta say for this channel, for the record, that this game is one of my favorite games of all time and really got me into the RPG bonanza that I am in now. Really, it's actually a shame that I waited this long to play it because had I played it back when it first released in 2020, I probably would have given it Game of the Year for my personal opinion. I really do think that Final Fantasy VII Remake probably should have won that year, in my personal opinion. I know that leads into the debate about whether games that are remakes should be nominated or not, but personally I think it should be, and really because it's so different and the fact that it's a remake, not a remaster, I think it deserves a fair chance at nominations. And also adding on that it's part of a trilogy, this is an excellent way to kick that off, and I've absolutely loved it. Again, this is someone as not an RPG fan. I really haven't played them up until this year when this was the first game to get me on the RPG train. And following that, Expedition 33, we all know how that went. And well, yeah, that's where I am now. I played Persona 4 right after that. I've just been on a streak of really good RPGs to play. And now I think I can consider myself more of an RPG fan than ever. A lot in part because of this game right here, Final Fantasy VII Remake. This game has done so much for me that I have to give it its own dedicated video because I think Final Fantasy VII, not only is it the best Final Fantasy to date, but one of the best RPGs, probably my favorite RPG of all time, even beating out Expedition 33. Beating out Expedition 33 in many ways. I just want to emphasize that because this game to me is just so damn good that I have to mention and compare it to another gaming giant, Expedition 33, both being some of my favorite RPGs ever made. Just this year alone, I think Final Fantasy VII got me into that, so I think it's very much worth talking about in the same space as the new Game of the Year winner, Expedition 33. So that's why I wanted to bring it up there. Final Fantasy VII is very, very interesting here because, of course, it's part of a trilogy, so it doesn't tell the full story of the original game in one package, which some could see that maybe it's incomplete or it doesn't tell enough. But believe me, it tells so much here, and really, it has so much content within that first package, not including Rebirth, of course. This game alone took me about 25 hours to complete on my first run, and it probably will take me a lot longer once you consider completing other side quests and upgrading, getting more materia, more stuff like that. The fact that there's that much content in just the first part of this trilogy, I think that says a lot, right? And it still holds up really well. It's still mind-boggling to me that it came out in 2020, 5 years ago, and yet it holds up so well. Of course, being on the PS5 port, it definitely does get some upgrades. Playing at solid 60 FPS, it definitely looks really, really nice. That's also an additional update that I have to be thankful for. The fact that it was free for PS Plus and the fact that it's on the PS5 version is just absolutely excellent. I would have paid full price, mind you. I was actually feeling bad at the end of my playthrough that I never paid for it because I wanted to. This game is so good. I wanted to give Square Enix, believe it or not, I wanted to give Square Enix my money so I could play this game again. And I probably will do that with Rebirth and maybe on the PC version of this game so I can experience it in higher fidelity because this game looks absolutely great. The only thing I wish it could is just go a little bit higher with the frame rates, which is why I'm saying right now that I may consider getting it on PC so that I can play this game, I would dare say masterpiece on the PC. So that is something I am considering. But fidelity is certainly not an issue when it comes to this game. It looks really, really good. And Square Enix did a fantastic job at recapturing the original game while simultaneously making it feel like new in a brand new world. It truly feels like they were trying to capture something here, capture the magic of Final Fantasy, no pun intended, and while simultaneously making it so unique and new, and you could tell that it's the remake right off the bat. It's just so much fun and such a breath of fresh air to play. Another breath of fresh air is the combat system. I have to talk about it because I have been flip-flopping between turn-based and not, as I have been playing Persona 4 recently, and then I just went from Expedition 33, which does a really, really good turn-based system that I really enjoy with parrying and all that good stuff. Now back to an action, more RPG-like, and I gotta say, I think Final Fantasy VII in particular Remake does it just so well. I don't know what it is, but it just feels so much fun. It really does feel like an immersive experience. It does really just feel like the combat here is excellent. It doesn't feel at all like sloppy or messy in any way. Really, the only things I do have to complain about in this regard is the fact that the blocking and parrying, guarding can definitely feel a bit off at times. It feels often, a lot of the time, it feels like when you're blocking with, in my case, R1, it definitely feels like a lot of the time I'm not even blocking. I'll just end up missing where I want to block. So it definitely feels a little bit messy here and there. But overall, the actual combat, how you use materia, magic, summons, all of it is practically a 10 out of 10 for me, really. It's just excellent quality all around. It never feels like the combat is dull or boring. It feels like there's always something, a new strategy, a new weapon, a new character even, depending on who you're playing with. It just always feels like you have options, and it never feels like I'm bored of the combat at all. I actively seek out more quests just to play with Cloud and the other characters more because I enjoy the combat so much and the materia and how that works. That was a little bit frustrating for me figuring out how it worked and which ones to use and which ones not to. But overall, really, it just worked out in the end because I ended up loving it and playing it over and over and over. Until now we're here and I'm making a whole video talking about Final Fantasy VII when I've never even played Final Fantasy VII before. So that's just overall excellent combat system. And that's not even getting into the characters themselves and how they play. The characters here are just excellent. I absolutely love the combat and how they play because they all feel very unique while simultaneously still having some similarities so that you can make some synergies. For instance, I usually have Cloud as, the swordsman, the main damage dealer, while Tifa can do a lot of close combat damage and also do a little bit of healing in the side. I have Auto Cure. She does a lot of back healing while also being at the front lines. She's someone I use quite often to do back and forth damage. And then you have Barret right here, who's supposed to be the tank, and I kind of get that, but I still use him to deal a lot of heavy damage regarding lightning magic and other different kinds of magic that you can use. He's kind of my jack of all trades character, and I really like how you can make the characters play however you see fit, really. It's just up to you and how they fit your playstyle. I absolutely love that, and that's the main thing for me with RPGs is how much customizability you have as a player. I absolutely love that. And that's also what I love about Expedition and how you can transform the builds for any of the characters. Here you can do a pretty similar thing with how you equip and adjust materia and summons as well, which summons are their own thing and are great to have in any pinch. And I really get the opportunity to use them, but once I do get to use them, it feels so much fun. And I really like that they have that addition there. It just feels like another little thing, but something that just feels so fun. That's all I can use to describe it is just pure fun is the summons and the characters and how they play. That's all I can describe it as. And that's what I think makes this game so enjoyable for me and why I consider it as one of my favorite games is that really you just put it on and you just have fun. Now, I'd be remiss if I said this game had no faults of its own and anything that I just didn't like or didn't drag. I have to admit that the actual side quests at the beginning of the game are pretty bad, pretty dreadful. They kind of drag a little bit, and I definitely think that Tifa's side quests are by far the worst in this game. They are not enjoyable for me, and they were just a slog. I only did it not just for the story, but also so I could get a little bit of extra Jill. That's the only reason I did it. Otherwise, they are mostly dreadful, and there are some that you could just outright skip. Like, I outright skipped a lot of the minor ones regarding the neighborhood. I just don't care to do. They are extremely boring and not fun whatsoever. So I'm hoping that Rebirth did improve upon this, though I wouldn't know at the moment. And yeah, that's not a shocker, right? I haven't played Rebirth. That's going to come out as a huge shock. I know how big this game was last year, and I know for a damn fact that if there is anyone watching this video who's a fan of the Final Fantasy series, particularly 7 and its trilogy, I know it's going to seem really weird that I've played 7 but not Rebirth. That's going to seem really weird. But that's a whole other video, and I'm fine to talk about it in the comments if you guys want to talk about that. I'm just saying here that in terms of actual side quests in Remake, you could have done a little bit better. And yeah, RPGs aren't really known for having the best side quests in the world when it comes to JRPGs anyway, not actual, Western RPGs. I mean, JRPGs don't have the greatest side quests out there from my experience, though maybe I'm wrong about this, but the ones I've encountered, side quests aren't great. So here it kind of follows that same trend where I don't really like them all that much. They kind of drag, and really you could have done a lot better here. But that's just Tifa's section. I do think once you get past that, and once you get to Wall Market, it definitely gets a lot better, but I still don't think it's great, and I definitely think you could have improved that for sure. But with that out of the way, I do want to talk about the main meat of the game, the story and the main quests themselves. There's going to be a long one, so get your popcorn, because I have everything to say about this story and how much I absolutely love it to pieces, along with the characters that have become some of my favorite characters in gaming. The story of Final Fantasy VII Remake is not one of tragedy, but of defying fate. Because we're part of a trilogy, because this is starting a new one, thankfully we are defying fate here, so that is something that's going to be a huge theme with this trilogy, and I'm hoping that it is explored more in the next game. I will be trying that out for myself sooner or later, and hopefully see some of this come to fruition. But regarding the story here with Final Fantasy VII Remake, it is absolutely excellent. It is one of the most memorable in gaming, in my personal opinion. It's only part one of a 3 trilogy, and yet despite that, I still think it's incredibly memorable. It tells a complete story from start to finish. You start as Cloud, you end as Cloud with his party, with the other characters. It always feels like they're doing the pacing really well. It feels like there's never enough time between a boss fight and another boss fight that you feel bored, or in between character moments that I feel like more characters should have been included or there should have been more dialogue. There's never a moment that feels like that to me. It really feels like it's rolling off really well, aside from maybe just the beginning of the game when you're going around chapter 6 to around chapter 11 or so. I think that really the game does do the pacing excellent. Just some moments here and there that I think could have been either sped up or have more moments with specific characters to ensure that the emotional impact of what's coming next hits harder. I definitely do think there are some moments here that feel a little bit awkward with Cloud, and I know that's how he's personified, right? I know that's his characterization, but it definitely feels at times that he feels like an asshole in one scene, yet in another scene he also feels like he's trying to be more of a better person. It definitely feels like it goes like a pendulum, going between is Cloud like an asshole, or is he actually a character who's really, really deep, who has all this lore behind him? And yes, that is the answer to the question, but still, it definitely feels like they kind of played around with this character a little bit. They kept swinging left and right. What are they going to do with him? Is he going to do this? Is he going to go for her? Or is he going to do this other system? We have no idea. So that definitely feels like at times they kind of just play with Cloud just to say, hey, this is a new story. We're starting fresh, and his mind is entirely gone. So we are going to mess with him as much as we can. That kind of feels like a lot of the time what they're doing with the story, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, and it leads to huge moments that I absolutely adore. So I have to give them kudos for the fact there's never a moment where I feel, man, this is boring. I only felt like that at the beginning, near maybe 7th Heaven, when you have to do some side quests and you can't skip them. You have to do many of them to progress. That was the only part where I felt, okay, maybe this is dragging on a bit. And that's what actually caused me to quit the first time, as I did play this game initially on PS Plus, but just never bothered to finish it until earlier this year. So that tells you how recent it was for me to complete it. And I still absolutely adored it. I definitely think that it was just me not being patient with the RPG, because this is, again, a very long game when it comes to the story and the role-playing elements. So it's not a game that I could finish quickly or one that I could put no time into. I had to put time into this game, and I'm very much glad I did, because if I didn't, I definitely wouldn't have had as much of an enjoyable experience as I did. And it tells such a complete story from start to finish, combined with that music, combined with the excellent voice acting, combined with just all of these elements and the excellent cinematography of how everything is shot and how it just all blends together to make an excellent, memorable experience. I think it just certifies itself as my favorite RPG. Maybe not my favorite game, maybe not one of my favorites, but certainly my favorite RPG of all time, and it absolutely, I think, deserved for 2020 Game of the Year. That's just my opinion, though, regarding that whole game, because the whole game feels like a complete package, even if it's only part 1 of 3. And maybe part 2 I'll end up playing at some point, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. that might be on the horizon. I'm not 100% sure yet. Let me know if you guys were interested in seeing me talk about that game, because I think that one is certainly far more interesting when it comes to certain character elements, and that will certainly be discussed at a future time. But right now, all I want to say is that Final Fantasy VII Remake is one of my favorite games of all time, and one of the greatest RPGs I think to ever be created, if not the greatest RPG ever made, even including games that we've gotten this year. As a newbie to this kind of thing, I think it's the greatest RPG ever made. Oh, also, I ship Aerith and Cloud. That's going to be it for this video, though. If you guys enjoyed, please hit that like button and subscribe. I could always use a new addition to the Dark Ops army. And let me know in the comments below if I should check out Rebirth. I think it's something that might be worth exploring before Part 3 comes out, as it is something I am really eagerly waiting for, and I'm very disappointed we did not see it at the Game Awards. So let me know in the comments below if it's worth checking out, and let me know what your favorite RPG is in the comments below as well. Let me know what you thought about Final Fantasy VII, and let me know if I should do more videos like this on my other favorite games, or just more videos that are different like this. I know I don't really upload videos like this all that often regarding just completely different games, completely obscure, so let me know in the comments below. But thank you guys so much for watching. This is Dark Ops. I'll see you guys next time.